clone website working and operating and asking for the papers from all over the Southeast Asian countries, including India. One more. Just look at this website, Ziyan Journal of Architecture and Technology. Basically, it's a Chinese journal. The original journal is in China, being run by the Chinese press, the science press in China. But this is what they have made. They have made the cloned website and put it in front of us. And you will see people are still publishing with them. Every day, there are papers coming. So now where is the original website? Very easily, you can check it, copy the name, go to the Scopus databases, sources, type the name here. It will be self-populated. So you click there. You can see it's an architecture journal. More information will come. And here you will get the source homepage. So once you click on the source homepage, you will see that this is the original website. And what we saw was this, the fraud website. So the now next level of this is the predatory journals. So how do they operate? Predatory journals also operate like that, but the problem with them is that they have the original website. So I'll give you the example of a predatory journal, a live journal. So European Journal of Molecular and Clinical Medicine. You can also cache the journals on your own, but there is a trick that you have to use. The first trick is, again, click on the contact us details. These journals will also not give you the full information. The journals which are predatory will also not give you the full information, and they will also run with Gmail ID. But yes, their website is original. It is not cloned. This is the original website of a journal, but the journal is predatory. Now, if you go to journal info, the editorial board will be a kind of fraud one, and they will have the people from the countries which they want to have the they have to trap the people of those countries like India, Sudan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and so on and so forth, even Thailand, where they know that the people are ready to publish by giving them some money. I think Oman is also struggling with this problem, but this problem can be caught at the right moment when we have the more and more awareness workshops about these predatory journals. So if you look at this journal now, the editorial board is also looking like a fraud one. Contact us details were wrong. Now we'll copy this name and we will go to the Scopus databases. This journal was earlier in Scopus. Now it has been discontinued, but it has its digital footprints, which will tell us more about the journal. So here it is, European Journal of Molecular and Clinical Medicine. It was in the Scopus databases. We'll check it. We'll check it for more information. The coverage was discontinued in 2018, right? And we don't have the homepage here. So if we don't have the homepage here, then that means also that it's a dubious one. We will copy the details. Just look at the subject area, which is immunology, biotechnology, biochemistry, genetics. But if we go to the website and if we type Bombay Stock Exchange here and we will search, you will see the papers of Bombay Stock Exchange. How can a European Journal of Molecular and Clinical Medicine has the papers of Bombay Stock Exchange in it? That means they are predatory. This is how you have to check it. You have to go into the detail of a journal. That what are they publishing? Why are they charging money? Who are they? Standalone publishers has to be taken care of. These are standalone publishers. And they publish real quick in 24 hours or maximum 48 hours. But this is what they do because your paper will be staying on the website. They will never enter the databases of Scopus. I'll give you an story. A big publisher, Sage. Sage was also in trouble recently. Why? Because of this. It has to retract 122 papers at once. Just look at the story. Why? Because the name of the journal was International Journal of Electrical Engineering and Education. The paper should be from that area only. But what were they publishing? Just look at these three titles. The first title, Research on the Evaluation of Urban Design from the Perspective of Public Health under the Background of COVID-19. This is not under the purview of the journal. The Rationality of Physical Fitness Evaluation Index for Cardiorespiratory Fitness in Medical System. That was not under the purview. Role of foreign direct investment as a strategic move towards growth, economic integration and development. That was also not under the purview of the journal. And there were 122 such papers, and they have to fire the editor-in-chief because the editor-in-chief was not doing the right job. The same happened with Springer Nature, the Arabian Journal of Geosciences. It has to be thrown out because of the expression of concerns on 400 papers. Here it is, you can see Arabian Journal of Geosciences. So now you have to check that what are they publishing? Because there are rug editors. You can see this word, drug editors or impersonators who are misusing the editorship and misusing the publisher's information and publisher's reputation. They'll take a lot of money from you, but at the end of the day, you are in deep trouble if you have published with a wrong journal. There is one more journal. The list is big, but I'll just, with the paucity of time, will give you the brief detail. So the next one is Journal of Critical Reviews. It is from Malaysia. The website is very good, colorful, engaging. But if you go to contact, there are no details. They will never tell us who these people are, and they will run with a Gmail ID. Can you beat that? Running with a Gmail ID is next to impossible. And then if you go to the editorial board, same, no people's information, no email IDs, no pictures. Anybody's name can be cut, copied, and pasted here. They are targeting Pakistan, South Africa, Nigeria, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, India, and Malaysia. And it's not far that they will come to the Gulf countries also. So that has to be carefully checked. So how this journal is a predatory one? These two things. Then if you go to the archive and look at the first paper, you will see it's a literature paper. But if you check it in the Scopus databases, that what was the source, what was the area of this journal, that would be different. So here it is, Journal of Critical Reviews. You can see the area. It is pharmacology, microbiology, molecular biology. But what we saw, literature paper, relationship of literature and psychology. And they will always give you wrong DOI number also. So how do you check the DOI number? You have to go to DOI.org. It is very, very essential for you to have the DOI number checked. So you copy the DOI number from here and you see that whether your paper is machine readable, yes or no. Your paper is not machine readable in a predatory journal because they are fraud. And you can see there is an error. So it should be machine readable. Machine should read the number DOI. It should not be a simple number DOI. Right. So over to the organizers. So I'm ready for the questions. I can tell more, but it's a kind of 3 hours of workshop that I take. So usually these are the main basic points. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the way you summarized, you gave a lot of information in the summary itself. I guess we have a couple of questions in the chat box. I'll just read them out to you. Dr. Henry says, he has a question. There are many journals with similar names. Can it be possible to have two journals with the same name?
No, this cannot be possibility. They can use the in the name, the international journal or the international journal, and they cannot have the same ISN. Once an ISN allotted to a journal cannot be given to another number. So you have to see the ISN number, which is a very, very prominent number for these journals. So ISSN is a very, very important number. So if they have the same ISN number, that means one is a clone journal. This is the point that we have to check it. You cannot have the two journals with the same name.
Okay, thank you. And then he's also saying that recently some reputed journals are calling for papers on COVID outside their scopes. Example, the medical journals. Invitations are sent for contributions. Now, is this right? Or
medical journals are dubious ones. We have to check the authenticity of journals, and we have to see they're indexed where. Either they are in PubMed, either they're in Medline, or they're in Scopus, or they're in Clarivate. Those journals which are not indexed anywhere, they will ask anything. Because they are not indexed, nobody cares about them, and they also don't care about anybody. They care about money only. Those journals which are indexed in some of the databases, they will never leave that in databases, and they will be working under the purview of that journal. Like my journal is in Scopus. I will not publish the papers outside the communication arena. So those journals which are like Lancet and big journals, they will never go out of the purview. Those journals which are going out of the purview, that means there is some kind of danger in them while publishing them. We need to check them very carefully that why they're coming out of the purview. Because you have just seen the example of Sage. Sage published out of the purview. 122 papers has to be retracted. The editor has to be fired. And it has happened with Springer Nature also. So you cannot just go one or two paper you can, but you just cannot have a huge addition, full addition out of the purview.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Summit. You gave us a very insightful on ways to how to check on these journals, because I came across a couple of journals that I just found them like, okay, this cannot be real. This cannot be the journal. So I
Yeah,
tried to
this
find
cannot be
editor
real. Yeah.
names and all.
So
Yeah,
at the moment, 85 are cloned, which are with the fake websites, and predatory are around 100 are there. 100 to 150 are predatory. As you rightly said that you see them, they are fraud, but sometimes they make so good websites, they are so interactive. You think that they are original, but when you go into the detail, they are the frauds. Somebody has
uh,
raised the hands, Henry.
yes. I think he has a question here. He's saying, can you help us in finding us a right journal based on the topic if we're not finding out based on our
Yes,
knowledge?
Henry, you can write an email to scdfnd@GWA. That is the helpline that we have started. We will give you the right journal, and there is a list of journals. You can go to the databases. You can search through the databases also. You can search through your librarian also. But yes, we are there to help you. So this helpline will help you, and you can write to us. We'll get back to you in 48 hours about that journal. Otherwise, you can go to Scopus. You on the pretext of title, you type subject area, put your subject area, and your subject area related papers journals will come in front of you, and you can select some of them.
I think we have another question from Dr. Muhammad Ansari here. He's saying there are journals from reputed database such as Elsevier. They charge APC, publish as open access. How about those journals?
So APC they can charge. It's their right. It's up to us whether you want to we want to pay the APC, yes or no. If we do not want to pay the APC, I'm just sharing my screen once again for 1 minute. I have to give this important information. So we have to go to DOAJ. That is the Directory of Open Access Journals. So let me share. DOAJ. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Just a second. It's going to somewhere else. So DOAORG is Directory of Open Access Journals. You can go there and you can see 12,275 journals without the APC. So at the moment, if you click on it, you will have a list of 12,275 journals which are without the APC. So go for these journals which are open access also and do not charge the APC. And these are your subject categories. So this list is coming up. So not every journal is looking for APC. You come to our journal. Our journal is a platinum open access journal, Journal of Content, Community and Communication. It is also an open access journal. We have also engaged with the conference. The best papers will be taken by us. We do not charge anything for publishing in our journal. It is for free. So there are platinum open access journals which are in Scopus as well as there. Now, if you go back to the Elsewhere, Elsewhere is also a publisher. So Elsewhere is charging a hefty APC. So it's up to them that they're charging it. Sometimes they're charging $3,000, even $4,000 on the journals. But you see whether that journal deserves your attention or not. We are not going to publish in $4,000 journal. I will not be publishing in that, even whatever ranking of that journal is having. So it's up to us at the moment that what do you want to go and what do you want to see into that APC. So APC is there, and it can be asked by them. It's up to us. So do DOAG has, yes, DOAG has its good market value. They are not indexed like Scopus and Clarivate, but yes, people are looking at DOAG sometimes. And in medical sciences, DOAG journals are reputed ones. So DOAG is a bit gaining the pace, and at least it will give you the information about without the journals which are APC. Journals which are without APC, at least they will give you that information. So DOAG you can check. So you're on mute, Ahmed. You're on mute.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Sumit. For anyone who wants to have more information about the journals and all, the right journals, he put his email on the chat box there, so you can contact him later on.
I will write my personal email ID also, the official one. That is, you can write to us. I will be sharing the PPTs also. There are a couple of workshops that I'm doing at the moment. I have done 250 workshops in the same area.
Right.
And we have shared a lot of research in India and Southeast Asian countries. And about that course also. That course is a very famous one where students are attached with us and they are studying with us this main area, because to save the researcher is very, very important. And once the researcher is saved, the country is also saved. So this is very, very important to name and shame the fraud journals. And we are fully equipped to save any academician who is working with us in this, work for the humanities. This is the work for the humanities. We are also coming up with the software. That software then easily catch the journal on its own. So if it is there, then there will not be that big problem of predatory ones. But we need to be very, very careful from the predatory journals. They'll keep on coming up like the mushrooms because they know that we are ready to pay. We don't have to pay. If we have to pay, you need to get it checked through us, or you need to check through the DOAJ, or you need to check it through your seniors. Do not pay.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Samad. Thank you for a very insightful presentation. I'm pretty sure everyone took that information that you just explained, because we've been facing, I don't know about others, but I have been facing when I want to publish a paper, I would literally just go ahead and search for a journal, and I would see these cloned journals as you put them. So now I have more insight on how to look at this journal and see if it's actually legit or not. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to move on to the presenters. I'd like to invite Dr. Ravi and Dr. Siraj as the co-chair and the session chair as well. Just to before we start, I'd just like to make sure to explain the conference rules again for the ones who are presenting now. The authors are going to have 12 minutes of presentation, and then followed by 3 minutes of a Q&A session. And the questions from the audience could be written in the chat box, and the session chair will be there to read them out to the authors or to the presenters. So Dr. Ravi and Dr. Siraj, please make sure that the presenters stick to the 12 minutes. All right, the first presenter has the paper title, Digital Technology, Metamorphosis of Teaching and Learning in Higher Education Institutions, a Sustainable Vision to Educational System Amid COVID Pandemic. This paper was written by Dr. Hisham Mak, Dr. Henry Karim Sethi, and Rasmia Saeed Sood. Dr. Henry?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me share. Yes. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. I'm back. Let me tell you, actually, this is a work of a student, but unfortunately, the student who is supposed to present is attending to emergency of their family. So I have to present this, but we have given the opportunity for the student to present. So this is a small study which the student has done as part of their project work, but still it is continuing. So it talks about digital technology and how it is influencing teaching and learning, especially in educational institutions during the COVID time. This is co-authored by Dr. Hisham and myself. As everyone knows, education has taken a very dramatic change from physical classes face to face because of the pandemic. And unfortunately or fortunately, no one might have assumed that.
Excuse me, Dr. Henry.
Yes.
There is some windows in front of the presentation. If you can just please minimize those windows so that the presentation, yes, minimize it.
Okay. Is this okay now?
No, it is still in top of the presentation.
Okay. Let me close. Let me share again. Is it clear now?
It's okay. Go ahead, doctor.
Yeah. Right. So the pandemic has caused a closure of schools and colleges and universities. And as a reason of that, the social media, I would say, like the application of the social media has taken a very significant role. And in this, the digitalization or the digital technology of higher education has taken a very good positive role globally, especially related to the educational institutions. So with that, the background, we want to have an understanding on how this digitalization, or I would say digital technology or online e-learning, and how it has really has caused a very good transition of the teaching and learning from physical face-to-face classrooms. So many studies were done. If you look at the literature, there are tremendous studies, and a lot of studies were done right from 2020 up to 2022 around the world in different contexts with relation to higher education institutions, universities, colleges, distance learning, training institutions. And they are all done with reference to their particular institutions or within that region. So taking the help of that, the student want to understand how this has been taken positively or negatively in the context of the modern College of Business and Science, and also within the region. So some data collection was done as a methodology. Basically, the survey was done. That is the most important methodology that is followed. A questionnaire was prepared. A survey was conducted by sending the links to the colleges in and around Muscat region. Then the responses were taken, secondary sources, published information from literature all around the world, empirical studies and organizations, websites, and the local media and the circulated materials were all reviewed, and they are all analyzed, and some of the responses were also marked on a Likert scale from 1 to 5. So findings and discussions, what is the outcome? However, this study is not holistic. Still, some of the study is still going on. But whatever the work that was done, it was presented out here so far. The digital technologies in educational system, it has really affected positively, I would say. One important thing what we can identify is if it is not technology or if it is not the digital applications that we have, it would have been a very difficult for the educational sector to find a better way of communicating the knowledge, the skill, and the support to the students. So I would say that digital technology and the applications have really come to the aid of educational sector, including the others. And in this, information and communication technology and mobile applications have played a very great role. And this has really integrated all the aspects of knowledge, technology, pedagogy, and leadership. Now, from this survey, we have got 205 responses from different colleges, from different institutions, and the demographic information is given out here for a quick look. The age group, the gender, the study mode, the colleges, study area, and residential. We have from the 205 responses, these were quantified to describe the percentages of their contribution. Now, there are certain questions posed on certain important areas, awareness on digital technology in teaching and learning. So to find out how much the students had awareness on the digital technology in teaching and learning, especially during this time of pandemic when they had an exposure to the technology, more than 80% of the institutions have adopted it to enhance their teaching and learning support in their curriculum. And looking at the number of students, 88.4%, I would say majority of the students surveyed had knowledge about it. So though they have not said they have a complete knowledge, but in some areas they had knowledge about this digital learning, what it is all about, and what kind of support they get from the digital technology. 90% of the students have learned digital technology can be used in teaching and learning, but it is not the fact that they can use it for across all different types of courses or subjects or all levels of learning. There is an exception to that. 76% indicated there are special tools. They have indicated that, and 93% of the students we surveyed from the survey that we got the responses are using more than one digital technology as their independent learning, either while doing the assignments or while performing their personal study or self-study. Now, digital technology tools adoption in learning, this is pertaining to the student himself in learning support. What are the tools and what are the ways the student personally by himself he is trying to use the digital technology to that level. Majority of them are using laptop as a digital tool to have their learning, either for knowledge gaining or for developing their skills, mainly as an online device, followed by smartphones, tablets, and less significantly desktop computers. And 97% of the student community do understand that online teaching and learning are a part of digital technology because they are more exposed to the technology in some way or the other. And across the questions, specific questions were asked whether digital technologies or tools can be used across all subjects by giving them a list of a range of subjects. Mostly they have given English language courses, IT based, business and science based, most appropriately are fitting to the technology, where there are certain courses or subjects which will be very difficult, like mathematics or calculations, where the digital technology may not be used or the tools may not find a right fit. And looking at how this digital technology will help the students in learning, the students responded that they all agree that it helps them to learn better and to have a very collaborative learning environment because they are all having different platforms for discussion. It also helps them to interact with classmates better, understanding some concepts better, if not all of them, by using this digital technology. And these technologies particularly are assisting them in developing certain skills in subject area, if not all of them. And it is also helping them to have an interactive presentation. So that's where the technology is coming into a good role. And it is also creating, helping them to create multimedia notes, communicating with peers through messages, either by email, chats, or WhatsApp messages. It's also helping them to enable store materials because we are sending the materials to the students digitally so they can easily store and retrieve it. And it's also helping them in collecting information and analyzing them.
Hello, Dr. Henry.
Yes.
You
Yes.
have 2 more minutes to go.
Yes. So HEIs are exploring the digital technology apart from the students. Looking at the institutions, they are also exploring the digital technology most probably in data protection, cyber security, and academic integrity and ethics in detecting unfair means of enhancing performance. So evidently we can say that 85.7% are using all these things potentially in most of the institutions that were surveyed. So implications is digital technology is observed to be useful in promoting the teacher cooperation, in providing better education, in gathering large numbers of students in a single platform. And it's also causing broad changes to teaching and learning approach, which most of the students have agreed to it. It also has impacted methods of teaching and learning. It has given a very wide exposure to the different methods of learning and teaching, and also gave them an exposure to use open education resources to a wide area. And to advanced students, it has also helped them to have a wider collaborative research. And the future outlook, I just want to wind it up. Digital technology has greatly enriched teaching to the maximum extent. Because if it is not a digital technology, if there is, we have not thought about an alternative mechanism how teaching can be taken forward when the physical face-to-face classes would have been closed. So student community, how this can be taken forward is student communities should be given more of awareness, or I would say exposure to digital technology, because some of the students have expressed their concern that they are not very familiar with some of their applications. So this has to be concentrated by the institutions. Improvements should be provided in providing very good infrastructure facilities to the students. Planning and organizing and educating instructors and learners on digital literacy is one important area which requires improvement across all institutions. And apart from that, the perceptions of teaching and learning using digital technology has slightly changed, but still some of the percentage of students doesn't like it. So, but this has to be taken across. And remember, digitalization or digital technology or online is not, it's a new normal. And even though if you're going back to face-to-face or physical classrooms, I do strongly believe that the online or e-learning through digital technology is still going to persist, and it's still going to take us to a new heights. So this is some of the brief observations of the study done by the student. If there are any gaps in it, I'm very much welcome to accept any suggestions or recommendations. These are the references for the study, some of them. And this is what I have to present in this presentation. Thank you very much once again to everyone for listening to the presentation.
Dr. Ravi, you're muted.
Thank you, Dr. Henry, for your informative presentation on how the digitization has taken up its role due to the pandemic situation. So to get rid of the unforeseen situation. So it was really informative, and I request the audience to raise their clarifications if they have anything. So any clarifications on this? So Dr. Henry, I have a small information that I would like to raise. You told in your results, the findings area, 90% of the students have learned the digital equipments in their learning process. So what about the 10%? What is the situation of the 10%? So what is the suggestions or the steps that the study would like to take for those 10% of the students? Number one. Number two, for some technical courses like mathematics and accountancy. So your study has concluded that the digital technology may not be that much useful comparatively. And what would be the alternative solutions to that one? Because as you told, the advancement of digital technology in educational system has become a part, So it is going to be with us in the future as well. So it has become an integral part of our learning system, teaching and learning system. So we are going to cope up with one. Is there any area that you have dealt with on these two fronts?
Thank you, sir, for the question. The first one, the 90% doesn't clearly indicate that in reality, I wouldn't also believe that 90%, because they might be aware of one or the other technology in teaching and learning support. But we have a very broad range and a very diverse applications when it comes to e-learning and technology. So a particular student may not be well versed, or he may not have a knowledge about all of them. So what they meant when they responded is, if they are familiar with at least one or two technologies that are used in learning and learning support. Yes. So they may have responded it. So in that way, I would feel the 90% has come. But the other 10% would be they are not familiar.
Exactly. They are using mobile phones. 100%. Yes. I'm sure that they are using mobile phones in their learning process.
Yes. The other second question is, there are certain kinds of subjects where we definitely have to explain them more clearly through a physical class or face-to-face. So we also have something called interactive boards. We call them as smart boards, where we can mimic a classroom environment, Even our college has many such number of smart boards
Yes.
where teachers and faculty have been using it.
Yes, what
The
MCBs
question
is
arises. The question arises whether all institutions can afford this kind of infrastructure of maintaining an interactive classroom. Now, it again depends on institutions which are offering specialized programs like small training institutions where they are only offering vocational or where they don't have the courses where they need to explain through a virtual classroom environment. They may not be ready to invest on the smart boards and interactive boards because it is all very costly equipment. So we have received the responses as a mixture of institutions. So we don't know where the students have not interested to say from which institution they have responded. Mm-hmm. So this is a reason of confidentiality, but I know definitely that not all institutions are so much equipped because of the cost effect that is going to have in procuring these smart boards. So a smart board interactive boards could be an excellent option where faculty can use to mimic, explain realistic problems in a classroom, even physical calculations, physics, chemistry, and so on, so like that.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. Thank you so much. Any more clarifications? I think we can request the next participant, next presenter. Thank you, Dr. Henry. Yes,
thank you,
over
Dr.
to
Henry.
Mr. Ahmad.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi. Our next paper is Privacy Law and Data Protection with Digital Media, and this is going to be presented by Mr. Ayapan. Ahmed, could you give the presenter? Yes, thank you. Mr. Ayapan, please, the floor is yours.
Hi, a very good evening, everyone. Can you all see the slides?
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So a very good afternoon, everyone. I'm one of the co-author of this paper titled Privacy Law and Data Protection within the Digital Media. In fact, the presenter of this paper is on medical emergency. And so I'm undertaking the presenter's role to provide a quick overview on the work done. As we all know, in today's information-rich civilization, almost every individual is deeply concerned about the provision and protection of their rights. Privacy is a crucial right that is vital for the independence and the preservation of human dignity. Privacy not only empowers individuals, by the same token, it empowers organizations to set up barriers and regulate boundaries to protect themselves from unwanted intrusion, allowing them to decide how they wish to engage with outsiders. And private information should only be obtained legitimately for a specific cause and should not be used without authority for unlawful monitoring or profiling by authorities or third parties. In the corporate world, individuals should have specific rights over their personal data, such as the ability to request and correct inaccurate information about them, as well as recourse options to safeguard these rights. In the present situation, as we all know, personal data has been collected and stored in the digital media for various aspects at a higher scale. And it has been highly misused by the private entities across the world where the technological know-how has been processed in terms of data collected and in an unlawful manner And this may lead to an unfair financial benefit on the part of the organizations. The research objectives are these: to address the current cybersecurity challenges, to outline the cyber attacks in organizations and the challenges for organizations, to conduct an analysis of the United States privacy law, and to provide an overview of cloud computing implications on the right to privacy. The study's methodology is entirely doctrinal in nature. To have a greater grasp on the inner workings of privacy law as well as its foundation of the General Data Protection Regulation in US, the researchers were relied on a variety of sources, ranging from the qualitative primary data obtained through research and reading through credible sources, especially the statutory materials available in US regulating the privacy law and the data protection. Cybersecurity challenges in the business environment. Organization survival is dependent on their ability to embrace innovation and digital advances to improve efficiency and enactment within the organization. Especially rebuilding administration using modern financial technology, this really involves the establishment of new innovative specializations to address the challenges within cybersecurity. This requires a stable business climate, providing an efficient infrastructure and the deployment of cutting-edge technology, all of which are ideal for attracting investments and stimulating economic development. As said by Gartner, by 2023, 65% of the worldwide population will have their private information protected by current privacy standards in some form. As laws get stronger and enforcement becomes more widespread, the stakes for global enterprises will rise accordingly. As we all know, the individual rights to privacy is considered as a human right. Human rights are the fundamental protection that humans ought to have against the state and other public authorities simply because they are the members of the community of life, regardless of various factors. The historical notion of natural rights has been derived from natural law, which is the foundation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the UDHR. Nevertheless, the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and several other regional international conventions acknowledge privacy as a basic human right. And privacy evolved into one of the most crucial human rights challenges. Privacy law and data protection within the digital media. The advancement of privacy regulation requirements to modern media proved to be critical, given how much data is stored in digital form and how easily it could be traded and exposed. Individuality and privacy underpins other essential rights such as freedom of association and expression. And it has developed into one of the most crucial human rights challenge of the contemporary era. One of the company, Axiom, a media company, claims to have detailed information on 10% of the planet's population. Data brokers have a massive collection of in-depth profiles of people all around the world because to their increasing capacity to cope with larger volumes of data. Further, I would say this information is most probably passed to marketers who used it to identify their demographic layer and to concentrate on delivering their products. And also, Facebook and other social media platforms give individuals free social integration in return for information about themselves. Cybersecurity challenges in business organization. The corporate world is evolving into a fast-paced worldwide economy, which relies on various channels of communication and data transmission. The difficulties concerning cybersecurity in the workplace remain to be inadequately understood and addressed. According to a recent poll in the year 2019, insiders, employees are responsible for 20% of data breaches. Over 30% of firms face more than 5 insider attacks every year. In majority situations in the employment sector, a substantial amount of data breaches that are happening are by the insiders, and the employees contribute considerably for these intrusions on their corporate online websites. Cloud computing implications on the right to privacy. Hardly any boundaries with cloud computing. Information can be split up and kept in several data centers across multiple jurisdictions. And jurisdiction is one of the most critical factors determining privacy and personal data security in cloud technology, which is not easy. With cloud computing, there are limitations in terms of looking into, like how data can be divided up and stored in several data centers across multiple jurisdictions. This circumstance makes criminal jurisdiction more difficult. Courts struggle to figure out where the data is and which laws apply for it. So major obligation of the cloud computing provider is to adhere to the fair information practices and to meet the legal standards mentioned in their privacy policy. So a detailed analysis on the governing privacy policies in the United States have been undertaken by the researcher. And the study has gone through in detail on various federal laws and state laws in the United States of America, like Fair Credit Reporting Act, Children's Online Protection Act, Financial Modernization Act, Electronic Communication Privacy Act, and a few other state laws like California Consumer Privacy Act, Colorado Privacy Act. So there exists different privacy laws in various jurisdictions where it has been looked into to really see what is the extent of protection afforded on the part of the government towards data protection and privacy, and to what extent organizations are brought into this purview. As a conclusion, the information acquired during this research clearly demonstrates the significance and the implementation of privacy laws and data protection regulations. In the United States, strong privacy legislation is achievable. The notions of responsible use and protection of information are intersected with privacy. The outcome of privacy and data protection and privacy law is determined by the conduct of those charged with enforcing the law, not by the content of the legislation. Especially non-discrimination regulations should be included in any legislation, prohibiting the businesses from refusing items, imposing different rates, or giving a lower level of service to the customers. And the companies also should have an efficient verification method so as to make it specific that they don't really charge extra waiver discount to prevent them from collecting and benefiting from a customer's personal information. So these are some of the recommendations.
Excuse me, Mr. Iban, are you still here? We cannot hear you. Mr. Iban.
Hello?
Yes, just to make sure that you are still here, because your voice is disconnected.
Dr. Ravi, you're muted.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ayappan. I think he has got some internet connectivity issue. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Ayappan, for your insight regarding the privacy of information and the data protection. The paper talks about the privacy of data and the challenges to it, and the regulatory framework required to meet such challenges. Of course, we know that the data is vulnerable to hacking. According to his information, according to the data he provided, we came to know that in the recent digital world, every information that we provide on the internet, so it is subject to hacking. So in this
Hello?
vulnerable.
Hi. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, it's okay.
Some connectivity issue here.
Yes, we understood. We could understand that. Thank you, Mr. Ayappan, for such insightful information about the data protection and the challenges to it, and how the regulatory framework should be ready to meet such challenges. As we all know that the data is vulnerable to hacking, so especially in the digital era. So how to protect the data? How to be aware of such the hacking possibilities. So thank you for your information, and it definitely adds value to the existing stock of knowledge. So I just change the floor to the audience for raising any clarifications if they have. Otherwise, I'll switch over to Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
you. I guess they don't have any questions. We'll move on to the next paper. The next paper is titled Critical Success Factors of E-Learning Implementations in Higher Education Institutions, Proposed Framework for Success, and this is going to be presented by Dr. Mohammed Ansari. Dr. Mohammed Ansari, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Okay. Yes, good evening to everybody. I'll be presenting a paper on the critical success factor of e-learning implementation in higher education. This paper is jointly prepared by Dr. Hisham, Ahmed, Dr. Saurav, and myself. So here it goes, the paper. So during this COVID-19, this has changed the whole educational system, particularly in higher education institute. With the introduction of COVID-19 in 2 years before, everybody went back to home and they were off the campus. It became a challenge for the educational institute how to continue the educational system. Some of them could switch very quickly. Some of them took a quite long time to change to digital system and online system of education. So online teaching became one of the prime factor of success during COVID-19. Prior to the COVID-19, online education was of course existing, but it was not much practiced. The result is a lot of students being stuck at home, not studying, and delayed their graduation for a couple of months. This happens to most of the institutes, but some of them they could manage to sail through on time and they could succeed very well. So what we see, the online course of education or online system of education, it became after COVID-19, it became more like order of the day. At this 21st century first started or this started the blended learning and online educational system. But in this century, after the COVID-19, the online became one of the important factor for success. As per Grum, what he says, blended learning is a system used by mostly higher education institutions that incorporates both the traditional and face-to-face learning approach and having a learning management system where course material could be accessed by students at the given time and place. That was the blended learning. But in COVID, in the online learning, everything available online and on real time. Some of them real time or some of them even recorded things are available. So integrating both approach increases effectiveness of learning. If we integrate the online and offline, integrated learning and the blended learning, that will increase the total system of online learning. System around the world can enroll the university that are thousands miles over and still they can earn degree. So during the COVID-19, many of the students, they moved back home and still they could continue their program or courses and they earn the degree within a real time what they're supposed to get it and they got it just because of the online learning. So let's see the background of the problem. What happened? E-learning has become global phenomena as its potential revolutionize the higher education sector and change the way we do the things, adapt to the global economy. As per Basak, what he says, several past studies reveal that e-learning and technological innovation are radically changing higher education, training and development across the globe. So this online learning, the technical or technology support was one of the greatest thing for the online learning, and because of the technology, we could succeed in imparting the education online. Some higher education institutes failed in implementing e-learning due to poor strategies, high cost of technologies, resistance to change, competition, and poor delivery codes. This was the alumni, he gave a paper of that, but some, well, the education institute, those who were equipped and they could invest the money some on the online learning, they could succeed in their motto. That therefore, it is essential to have identified the critical success factor of implementing online learning. So in this paper, we recognize the critical success factor of other part of the world and also in the GCC and Oman. We'll be having the look of that. So research questions are, what are the critical success factor for effective implementation of e-learning in higher education institute, and what are the framework can be developed for effective implementation of e-learning in higher education institute in Oman? These are the two research questions. So what we follow the research methodology, we develop the framework to assist a higher education institute in Oman effectively by implementing e-learning, and we employed a research methodology based on analyzing and synthesizing a past literature review in context of different countries to identify most common critical success factors, particularly in Europe, America, Southeast Asia, and in Middle East. The identification of critical success factor in developing the framework of effective implementation of e-learning system. So critical success factor of e-learning globally, these are the factors, or 35 factors was considered as globally, so of e-learning worldwide. These are some of the factors: student dimension, pedagogy, technology, then LMS, learning management system, economy, developer, commitment, motivation. These are the very important factors that remain the globally. But the list is very exhaustive, 35. I'm not going to read all the list. At the same time, leadership was very important. Leadership from the organization perspective or higher education perspective, and leadership from the individual perspective, how much initiative individual take in learning, e-learning system through online. Here this leading success factor for e-learning implementation in higher educational institute globally. So the technology, say the number of times in past studies, so 28 times the past study they discuss about technology. Instruction dimension, 22 authors are they discuss about. Student dimension, 21 authors discuss about. Pedagogy, they discuss on 20 authors. Institution that implemented the online learning very well, they talked about 16 authors. E-learning environment, 12, and social interaction was 10. Now let's see the Western countries. The critical success factor of Western countries are mentioned. These all the we find out these are the critical success factor of Western countries. Particularly the student dimension, of course, it is there. Instructor dimension, how the instructor or teacher they take the online learning. Pedagogy, technology, very important. Evaluation, very important. Training, what type of training given to the student and the teacher. The courses, very important. What type of course? Again, there was some limitation of all other courses like mathematics or science. There was some limitation where particularly the practical training were required. Again, leadership remained one of the critical success factor of Western countries as well. So accordingly, the critical success factor of Western countries was summarized these 6 main, that's the technology, student dimension, instructor dimension, pedagogy, institution, and e-learning. These are the summarization. Accordingly, we find Asia, Middle East, and Africa, there are 25 critical success factors are worked out, and out of this 25, these 6 are very important based on their number of occurrence in literature. So these are the 6 factors for very important for Middle East, Asia, and Africa. These are again technology, instructor dimension, pedagogy, student dimension, social interaction, and e-learning environment. This technology remained throughout all the places, all the area that remain very much critical success factor. Apart from that, student dimension, how a student takes the online learning, how the pedagogy is there, what are the student dimensions are there, and how socially we are going to accept the online learning and e-learning environment. So this remain important for Middle East, Asia, and Africa as well. So framework for effective e-learning implementation in higher education institute in Oman. The present study classified critical success factor of e-learning into 7 components, and these are some components which is derived through the extensive literature review of Western countries,
Dr.
Asia. Yes, doctor.
You have 2 minutes to go.
No, sure. I'll finish. Asia, Middle East, and Africa. These 7 factors recognized to be common one studied in literature to ensure effectiveness of e-learning implementation. So these 7 factors are represented with the proposed framework of e-learning implementation, and those critical success factors are student dimension, instructor dimension, pedagogy, technology factors, e-learning environment, institutional factors, and social interaction. So in these 7, again we find student dimension, instructor, pedagogy, technology, e-learning environment, institutional factors, and social remain very important. And these 7 factors are also coming in all the areas, all the different regions of the world. So these factors, we work it out through our research that these 7 factors are critical success factor of online learning. So here is the conclusion. The conclusion is that e-learning is rapidly becoming a popular mode of study among the students globally, and particularly after the pandemic, many institutions deciding to continue on e-learning some of the courses like senior level courses. Some of the junior level courses, they may call the student back to the campus. So this trend is also visible in higher education institutes using online learning to support learning activities of the student. So due to pandemic, we find the e-learning became one of the very important factors, and it is not going to go away, e-learning. The education institutes are going to carry on with the e-learning in the form of blended learning, e-learning, some of them on campus with offline learning and so on and so forth. So that will remain order of the day. Even other many more years to go, online will continue as such. So again, the information communication technology stakeholder commitment, maturing ICT skill these are the very important factor for e-learning environment. So again, we say that the instructor dimension, pedagogy factor, technology, institutional factor, social interaction was very important or is very important for e-learning environment and so on. So limitation, this research is done based on the theory, based on the literature review. This future research can be done with the help of empirical study, where we can have a questionnaire-based studies with the student, faculty, and the e-learning environment, even the IT, we can involve them for the e-learning, and that could be a nice study for the future on empirical study. And I thank you to all of you for the hearing or listening the presentation. And so thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Ansari, for your valuable information on the digital integration into learning process. How do we make, how the critical success factors are going to make the digital integration more successful into the learning process. And you have given a framework for making it successful, the e-learning. And you talked about the digital innovation has provided the assistance in terms of removing the time barrier, technological barriers, and space barriers, So in terms of knowledge sharing process, in the knowledge sharing process. So it was very well explained by your paper. Thank you so much. And the floor is with the audience now. If they have any questions, let them go. Otherwise, Mr. Ahmad can take up and we'll invite the next speaker. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Ansari.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Ansari. For the next paper, and it will be the last paper for today. The paper is titled Influence of EWOM on Destination Visit Intentions, an empirical study using information adoption model. This paper is going to be presented by Nidhi Sharma. Whenever you're ready, Nidhi.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. I am Nidhi Sharma, a research scholar of University School of Business, Chandigarh University, India. Today, I am going to present the presentation on the topic Influence of EWOM, that is electronic word of mouth, on tourist destination visit intentions, and empirical study using information adoption model. Wait. Sorry, I'm unable to. I'll try once again. Is it visible again?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So nowadays, firms considered social media as a valuable communication platform for their promotional and strategic decisions in order to increase consumers' interaction as internet usage is becoming more widespread and the use of social media grows over time. People's online sharing, networking and knowledge sharing activities are also the result of such advancement in information technology. People's travel habit have drastically changed as a result of social media. Tourists are linked, educated, and engaged with the tourism industry, greatly increasing their interest in destinations around the world. So, electronic word of mouth has long been thought to be a powerful marketing tool. And before acquiring products or services, individuals seek information offered by prior consumer to assist them to feel more at ease. Blogs, discussion groups, review sites, online shopping sites, and finally social media channels have all given acceptable performance platforms for EWOM. So Facebook is by far the most commonly used social media website and is used to support and market several destinations around the world. Users' comment being supported will reflect the efficacy of social media posts through Facebook posts because it encourages word of mouth among users. Facebook is seen as a medium for addressing customer service concerns as well as tool for viral marketing. There are on average 1.88 billion daily active users of Facebook for February 2022 with an increase of 8% year over year. And the number of monthly active users of Facebook is 2.88 billion as of March 2021 with an increase of 10% over the year. Also, if we talk about daily active people of Facebook, it is 2.72 billion as of February 2022 with an increase of 15% year over year. Facebook allows users not only keep in touch with friends and creative social networks and capitals, but also exposes them to the wealth of information and news. So then comes the research gap. Existing literature studies Facebook in numerous contexts. As one study conducted by Marini in 2016 discussed how Facebook is used as a destination marketing tool, and another study done in 2019, the study empirically examined the role of Facebook fan pages play in the generation of visit intention. And another studies by Miriani in 2019, the studies tried to look into the antecedents of utilizing non-travel related social media to make travel decisions before a vacations. Then another study examined the causal relationship among EWOM, destination image, satisfaction and loyalty. However, research on the influence of Facebook EWOM platform on intention to visit a destination are still in their infancy. Also stated by the Erkan and Evans 2018 that future studies could concentrate the EWOM on a single social media platform with an approach to information adoption proposed by Erkan and Evans in 2016. This study attempts to address this research gap by studying how visitors acquire information from Facebook EWOM and its impact on their intentions to visit destination. So, theoretical framework. As dual process theories has been used in the context of information system to describe how individuals are impacted by concept or information adoption. On the other hand, go a step farther and propose information models. So, information adoption model was proposed by the Sussman and Siegel in 2003. This study is grounded on the theory of information adoption as TAM, that is technology adoption model, and the theory of reasoned action. Both contribute to a better understanding of consumer intention to adopt information, but neither model explains how customers are influenced by the information they receive. The information adoption model explains how people use computer-mediated platforms to acquire information. It also discusses how customers can get information via two routes, that is the central, which is referred to as the argument quality, and the peripheral route. So this is the proposed conceptual model, which says that relevance, timeliness, accuracy, comprehensiveness, source expertise, and source trustworthiness leads to information useful, which leads to information adoption, and finally the destination visit intention. So the research methodology part, the present study is descriptive in nature, and the sampling technique we have used to collect the data from the respondent is purposive sampling technique. And the data was gathered from visitors visiting several tourist destinations in Tri-City, Chandigarh, Mawali, Panchkula, Kasauli, Morni Hill, and Shimla. That is the states or cities of the India. And for the sample size, we have used the G-Star Power software, which helped to calculate the sample size in order to establish a minimum necessary sample size. So the required sample, which is suggested by the G-Star software, was 2 to 7, but we have utilized 417 respondent, which meet the acceptable sample size. And the sample area, as I have discussed, questionnaire to collect the information from respondent. An adaptive questionnaire has been designed and a Likert scale of 5, which 1 is quoted as strongly agreed and 5 is quoted as strongly disagreed. And for data analysis, we have used PLSM software for data analysis. And these are the result of the measurement model assessment. The result of assessment of measurement model are depicted in table 2, which I am going to show you, and which includes the construct reliability, validity, which was examined by using Cronbach alpha, Hensler rho, composite reliability, and average variance extracted. So as you can see that this is the overview of the measurement model assessment. And the discriminant validity was determined using Fornell-Lecker criteria. For the discriminant validity, we use Fornell-Lecker criteria, which states that the inter-item correlation values of the construct should be smaller than the under root of AVE of all the construct on the diagonal. Results shown in the table 3 depict all the construct meet the criteria of Fornell-Lecker, as there is no discriminant validity problem because there is no similarity between any construct, which shows as the fitness of the study for a final analysis. And this is the overview of the Fornell-Lecker criteria. And again, we use the HTMT ratio as well for the discriminant validity, and all the HTMT values of our study are less than 0.85, which is the minimum threshold value suggested by Hensler et al. In 2015 and Woose et al. 2016. And there is one 0.90 permissive value suggested by Gold et al. 2001. So this is the result of the HTMT ratio. Then comes the structural model assessment. In structural model assessment, all the relationship among the construct and their predictive relevance were examined to determine the relevant p-values for the hypothesis presented in the study. The procedure was done using bootstrapping technique, which suggested 5,000 bootstraps without changing sign. This is the overview of the structural model assessment. Here we can see that the relevance, accuracy, comprehensiveness, and source expertise and source trustworthiness has positive and significant influence on information usefulness, but there is a negative, or we can say there is a no significant relationship between timeliness and information usefulness. Then further, information usefulness and information adoption has significant impact, and there is a significant impact of information adoption on destination visit intention as well. So further, the coefficient of determination of the dependent variable of our model, that is destination visit intention, was 41.2%, which is significantly low to moderate, and the variance of information adoption and information usefulness was 69.5%, which is moderate to high, and 43%, which is low to moderate respectively, as you can see in this picture as well. Then we have determined the evaluation of the overall fit of the model. We have used the SRMR, that is standardized root mean square residual global fit indices, to calculate the goodness of fit. And it is a global model fit index like SMR is important in today's research using PLSM models for evaluating the model's good of fit. So the result of SMR value is 0.08, which is equal to the minimum threshold value of 0.08, which indicates a good explanatory power as suggested by Hugh and Bentley 1999 and Hensley 2016. Then we check the predictive relevance, that is the Stone-Geezer's Q-square, which determine that the structural model's predictive significance between construct, and it is found to be 0.273 for destination visit attention, 0.543 for information usefulness, and 0.324 for information adoption, indicating moderate predictive relevance in case of destination visit attention, and a strong predictive relevance of information usefulness and information adoption of the model, implying that finding can be generalized in different contexts in the future, and a greater value than 0.02 can be used to generalize the finding in the future and have enough predictive power.
Hello, Ms. Nidhi. You have
yes,
two minutes to go.
Okay, sir. Okay. And the recommended limits for examining the change in R square owing to the influence of independent construct or dependent construct, that is 0.05 to 0.015 weak effect, then the moderate and above the 0.035, it is a strong effect. So as per our study, the F-square of information adoption is 0.699, reveals strong impact on distant visit intention. Then comes the discussion and conclusion. As I've already mentioned that which hypotheses have a positive impact and which have significant impact on. I have just discussed hypothesis by hypothesis at which whether our results are similar to previous studies or our results are in contrast to other studies. These all are discussed in this. And then comes the limitations. When evaluating the finding of the study, number of limitations must be considered. First, the study is more inclined toward examining the destination visit intention of travelers rather than their actual visit behavior. So as a result, future studies should focus on the adoption of information by travelers for real destination visits via Facebook EWOM. Secondly, all the relationship of these studies was investigated directly. So future studies can be done adding moderators like gender, age, etc. Third, this study was based on the variable of information adoption model. So future studies can be done by adding some more variables such as attitude, habit, so on. And this is the bibliography which I've included in this study. So thank you. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Ms. Nidhi Sharma. So it was really informative. And the paper deals with the impact of electronic word of mouth on the travelers' destination visit intentions.
Yes, sir.
And your analysis, the analysis part, it shows that it's an empirical analysis regarding the impact of especially the Facebook electronic word of mouth on the selection of their destinations, intentions of the visitors. It was really informative. Thank you so much. And if any questions from the audience, you are welcome. All right, I think so. We have come to the end of the session today. Today's session is mostly related to digital media and communication. How the digital media and communication, the advancement in the digital communication technology and the communication technology is going to help the economic development and sustainability. Actually, the digital media and the communication, this is an area which is inevitable in the recent business era. So now the business activities are conducted online. Okay, from there is a paradigm shift from the traditional business system to the modern system that we are experiencing thanks to the pandemic. Especially from my understanding, there are 3 areas where the digital technology has impacted the most. The one is the personal finance, where the people would like to invest in soft assets, shares, bonds, even cryptocurrencies, where they depend mostly on the digital technology for their success. The second one is companies. Even companies are dependent on the technology for their growth, in this current business phenomenon. In the sense, for example, you can say the PayPal, Google Pay, these companies have taken over the jobs, primary roles of the commercial banks. Nowadays, all the payments are made through these technological companies, not by the banks anymore. And even you can experience Netflix. This is one of the companies. You can see how they have shifted their operations from compared to last 5 years and where they are standing right now. It's all they have identified their success. It's based on the usage of technological development only. So the companies are using to the maximum potential the advancement of digital communication technology. Individuals, we are using, obviously, this usage by the individuals and companies would definitely lead to economic development and sustainability. Therefore, we can understand that the idea that we have chosen for our current session is very much related to the theme of the conference. And I could come across one study, recent study in the US and the European Union. So what the study has identified? So the study has established there is a relation, a positive relation between digitization and the GDP per capita. So there is a data 10% increase in the digital communication development, which has led to 1.5% increase, 1.5% point increase in the GDP per capita in the US and European Union. So these studies are establishing that digital innovation is essential for the economic development of a country. So that is what I would like to say. So with that, the presenters have done a wonderful job today. The first one is by Dr. Henry. He talked about the digital impact on the educational system. The second one is Mr. Ayyappan, which he talks about the privacy of law and the data protection. And the third one by Dr. Muhammad Ansari, he's talking about the same digital application on the e-learning process. And of course, the last one is by Ms. Nidhi Sharma, talks about the electronics word of mouth on the tourist intention. So it was a wonderful session. I hope audience would have enjoyed the session. And I thank the organizers for having given me this opportunity to lead the session. Thank you so much to all concerned. And I just hand over to Mr. Ahmed for closing remarks. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ravi, for chairing this session. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's session. Thank you, the keynote speakers, the session chairs, the co-chairs, and most importantly, the presenters for shedding light on their research work. We've come to the end of the second day of the first Economic Transformation and Sustainability International Conference. This is the end of the day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the last day. We'll be sending out the conference link for day 3 later on tonight, so you'll be able to log in for tomorrow's session. Just a reminder, tomorrow's session is going to start at 11 a.m. Muscat time. So see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much. See you then tomorrow.